Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Broyans Farm. So we just got Dad sent off to market. He's going up to Scranton. It's Monday. Then we have helpers up there that's gonna work with him. And so that means Sammy, Mom, Frank, and myself are gonna be working here on the farm to get a load around for Wednesday, which is nice because now we not only have today, Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday, to get a really nice big load for Wednesday. I'm gonna start by getting these garlic wagons unloaded in the barn. We got them picked up out of the ground. We wanted to let them on the wagon like a day or two or three just to dry out real good, and then take them in the barn where they'll keep drying until we're ready to sell them. That was one wagon. They already, I think, unloaded 2 in the barn, and then I have another one right down here, which I just got backed in. And Frank and I are gonna start unloading here in the next probably half hour. Ton of beautiful garlic. The only problem we had with it this year was not size or anything like that. Just we had a lot of rain, and they did split a little bit, which doesn't affect the flavor. It just isn't quite as pretty as it usually would be. But before I even get started on that, I'm gonna head up to the high tunnels and start fertilizing them. I said in my last video how we were having a little bit of trouble with the tomatoes. We got them fertilized one time already, and we're already seeing a little bit of a difference. We're gonna fertilize them now again today, and probably keep doing it now about twice a week for the next couple weeks till we get this straightened out. And even after we get it straightened out, we might keep doing this just so they don't go back to the way they were. We're finally getting a little bit caught up. So Frank's doing some weed whacking, which was much needed. The weeds around the greenhouse here were about, I don't know, 2 foot high. Just makes everything look so much nicer. The fertilizer I'm putting on is a 4-2-41 plus 2% mg. I'm actually not even 100% sure what that means. It just has a lot of good nutrients in it, including, you know, potassium, which is what we need the most. So I just got my portion measured out for this lower high tunnel. You can hear it clicking. It means it's fertilizing. And I see a butterfly in here that might not make his way out. I don't really know how to grab him. Not bad. Hold on, hold on, hold on. There you go. And I just got up here to the upper high tunnel. My mom had, I think it was like, I don't know what's in here, like 15, 16, 17 or something in the line fertilizing our pickles, cucumbers, and zucchini. But now I'm just getting that little bit out of the line and now running my mixture into the high tunnel. So now I'm back here to the barn, and what we're gonna do is grab about as big of a handful as we can, which I'm gonna grab about 4 times this amount when I'm not carrying my camera, and carry it all the way to the back here, behind all this equipment. And then back here, if you've been watching my videos for the past year, you'll know this is where we keep our garlic. Like I said, they already unloaded, I think, 2 wagon loads in here. There's a good amount here on these tables, and then we just started filling up these tables here. And by the end of today, these are all gonna be full as well. The biggest thing is that we just want it to dry properly. So it's the next day. I just got out here to the pickle patch. Frank and Sammy have already been out here for a little while. They're working on the first row of pickles. And since I'm by myself, I'm just gonna do this little patch of cucumbers here on the side, and then I'll move on to pickles and help them as well. Now, we haven't had rain here probably for about a week now. We could use some again. We were getting it like every single day or every other day for a while, but now we could use it again. I think we're not gonna get as much today just because of that reason, but we'll see what happens. The thing is, we do have quite a bit of cucumbers and pickles in the cooler from the past few pickings that we gotta sell yet, and they're beautiful, but we just can't sell 30, 40 baskets a day, so that stretches out over a couple day period. But today it doesn't seem like we're gonna get a lot, and that'll help us catch up now. I don't know, this little row right here is probably like 25 yards long, which is 75 feet. And I only got 1 basket out of it, which usually we get around 5 out of it, but no big deal. Like I said, we don't really need the cucumbers right now, so it's kind of a good thing. Now my basket is kind of heaping, but the cucumbers are still very nice. And the pickles still seem to be doing very well, so I'm hoping you know, we can pick this patch for a couple weeks yet. Now we came down here into the onions. We have red, yellow, and white to pick. We want to get mostly white because they always seem to want to rot first in the ground. Sammy's got 2 handfuls right there of white. We were cutting the tops off, like kind of fancy and peeling them down a lot, but it was taking a lot of time. And now the tops are starting to fall over, which means they're just about done growing. And so we don't want to trim them long no more. We're just going to trim them off, leave it about 2 inches. And that's good right there.
Good morning.
That's good, Frank. You don't have to go nothing more than that. Now we can put them through the washer, which will save a lot of time. He's just shucking off the outside loose stuff.
You want me to just drop it like that?
Yeah, you can. Yep, that's just fine.
Spread out.
Some of them are buried a little more than others, but for the most part, you can see how big they are just by walking past them. That one right there on the outside, that's a good sized onion. And we are starting to see quite a few weeds, especially there in the middle. But like I said, these are about probably 2 weeks from done growing. And so once they're done, we're gonna go through here and just start ripping them all out, trimming them off like Frank's doing. And then we're gonna get them stored in the barn. So that way they're just there whenever we need them. We don't have to worry about fighting with the weeds.
Beautiful.
The red onions always seem to take a little bit longer than the white ones do. And you can just see how much more vigorous and green the tops are, meaning that they still got a long ways to go and they're already about the same size as the whites, which are a decent size. So I'm hoping we're gonna have some monsters here in a couple weeks. But as you get down here, like I said, it gets weedier and weedier. And it's hard to find the reds because they're a little more buried, but like this one sticks out quite a bit. That's a good one. That one's an okay one. Go on the other side here. This one looks like a good one, but I can't see. Not bad. So we're just about done. We're going for 9 baskets. We have 8, finishing up the 9th. For the most part, they're all really nice sized. There's always an onion here and there where you pull out thinking it's bigger than what it is. Got a couple reds mixed in. I think we're gonna have a good onion crop this year though. Frank and I just came out here to pick some red beets. We've been kind of not cleaning the field, but cleaning the big ones out of the field, out through all the way up until this point. And we're trying to just keep track of where we're stopping. And we are getting a lot of jumbos, but people are working with us at market and they're saying they'll just cut them up a little bit more. But I mean, they're huge. They're loaded right down the row. Just look at that whole pile right there by Sammy. And we've still got at least 40 yards of beets yet to pick. Really nice. The tops are beautiful. I just wish that we had more of a use for them and people would buy them because they look like they're good eating. Have you ever had red beet tops, Sammy?
Huh?
Have you ever had red beet tops?
No. That one that one was so big I couldn't even wrap my hand around it.
If you just look down inside, you can see them all. That's a nice handful right there.
Thank you very much.
There's a little guy.
I think the best part of all this, though, is I can't wait to start from the beginning again and come back through.
Yeah.
We missed. I just think
I came out here to the irrigation. Dad's down at the irrigation pump right now. We decided we're gonna start fertilizing our strawberries along with, watering them at the same time. So we just got this new, or actually we've had it for a while, but we're using it for the first time. This is a inline fertilizer system. And basically it all works off of suction. So the water coming through here has a valve. And so as I turn this down to close off that valve, it's gonna make the water go through our suction line, or it's gonna go through this line that's gonna suck water out of the suction line, which is where our fertilizer is gonna be. It's just not here yet. And then that's gonna put that fertilizer in the line with the water, run it out to the field, and then it will get pumped on each row of strawberries. We have underground line that comes from the pond all the way up to right here, where that line comes out of the ground, and then we hook up to it with our flex line, comes into our sand filters, because you can't pump water out of the pond. There's too much sediment in it to go through this little tiny drip line. What'll happen is it'll get clogged up in there and it won't come out of the emitters, which is right there, that little slit you see. So it has to go through the sand filters, filter all that debris out, and then it can go through our line and get pumped on. So we had a couple of problems just with some of the clamps not being tight enough, and we had some leaks, but we got them all figured out. Got the fertilizer up and running. We used 15 gallons of fertilizer. I've got about 2 gallons left. I don't know if you can see it in there. Kind of just dark green. And then we're gonna run probably about 1 gallon or 2 of just clean water through to wash everything out and shut the whole line down. Now that the plants are pretty established and they're getting to be a good size, they want to put a bud cluster on and start producing strawberries, which isn't really what we want this time of year. Obviously strawberries would be great, but we want all the nutrients going to the plant itself and not to the strawberries that it's trying to produce. So what we're doing now is going through and clipping off all of the bud clusters. Most of them have a decent sized cluster on. Some are a little bit smaller, don't even have one produced yet or even starting, but that's just something we'll have to deal with and come back through another day if we get the time to. But I would say at least 80–85% of them have that nice bud cluster on them already. Pretty simple. Frank's going on one side of the row, I'm going on the other. Right there is a bud cluster. You can see once I clip this off that that's gonna produce about 3 to 5 berries if we'd let it. This one actually has the flower on it. We just want to be careful that we don't cut any of the other leaves or hurt the plant at all. That's why we make sure our clippers are nice and sharp and we're doing everything right. See, this one's a little bit smaller. You can just see the bud cluster starting there. I'm gonna nip that off. But some are too small to the point where you can't even attempt to cut it. So I had to leave Frank in the field. It's around 3:45 right now. They're saying the big storm is coming around like 5-ish. And we have those 4 rows of plastic that we laid for the pickles, cucumbers, and zucchini. And we thought that'd be a good idea before it comes, as long as it's not gonna be hail or anything like that, to get them in the ground. So that's what Mom, Sammy, and myself are gonna go do. Mom's picking up the beans. Got about 12 baskets. Sammy's behind me. We're heading to the field to start planting. So we just got to the field, figuring out where everything's going. We're gonna start off here in the beginning with zucchini, Lebanese, which is also Gouda, and yellow zucchini. Then move into cucumbers and then pickles. But the thunder's thundering pretty loud, and we don't want to get caught in the middle of a storm. The storm's still holding off. We got our zucchini in and Lebanese. We're working on cukes now. We got 3/4 of an inch of rain last night, and in the other fields it didn't look so muddy, but this was definitely the muddiest I've driven in to plant so far yet this year, and I've driven in some pretty wet ground. I actually thought I was gonna get stuck. The tractor was sliding, but everything turned out okay. My main thing I was worried about was the row being too far off center, because then it's going to grow off the plastic quicker and we're not going to be able to spray and kill the weeds, which is one of the biggest problems with all this kind of stuff. So you can see my big tracks I made here, not real deep, just, you know, more spread out and widened, but I think everything will be okay. But as far as the whole planting process goes, it's going great. The ground's really nice. There's not near as many stones as other fields we've been planting in this year, and the hole is filling in with the water a lot better. Well, it's looking like we're gonna get everything in. It's getting darker, starting to thunder a little bit louder, but we're on our last row. We're just about halfway through it. Now I can properly show you guys the beans instead of a 2-second clip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 baskets of Italian flat beans. Now they're not all exactly full, but they're real nice. And then just 2 green beans. Sammy's getting the cart now, putting it in. And you might be able to hear the thunder. It's gotta be coming here pretty soon. So that's what I'm calling it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember, it ain't much, but it's honest work.